This is Dave from CheapWineFinder.com. And today, again, we have another companion podcast for a wine we just wrote up a review of on the CheapWineFinder.com website. And this is another one of our Thanksgiving dinner wines. And this is kind of a unique one, and it has a lot going for you. It has a pretty good story. This is a Beaujolais French wine, but it's not your typical negotiant ones, Beaujolais you see in the store shelves, all those with the pretty flowers and what have you. This one's a little bit different. And it's called I've been improving my French a lot lately. Raisins Gaulois 2018. What that means, if you're a French speaker and couldn't figure out what the heck I said, it translates to French grapes. That's kind of what this thing is all about. It's Marcel Lapierre. He was like an icon of Beaujolais. He's the one that brought back the old ways. He went organic. He went He went natural yeast. Natural yeast are just the yeast that float in the air and on the grape skins. They don't add commercial yeast to make the fermentation. They don't add sulfites and sulfur. They don't find the bottles. They don't take all the residue out of it. They leave all the flavor. Every time you take something out of the wine, every time you filter it, well, there's something, what you're filtering out takes flavor out. And they don't do that. They use the old techniques. Marcel passed away, and now Matthew is now the son is making it, and they're going biodynamic. They're doing organic vineyards, and they also use their vineyards from the Morgon area of Beaujolais, and this is the Cru area. Normally for French wine, especially for cheap wine finder wines, you get to see the IGP, which is the middle label, maybe AOC. Cru is the high-end stuff. And this is a wine that's using mostly organic Cru vineyards, just a little bit of the AOC added into it. So it's got impeccable sourcing of grapes. I mean, going Cru is pretty high end. Normally with, and this is under $20 Beaujolais wine from one of the masters of Beaujolais. And, normally you can, for 25 and under, you can pretty much drink everything in Beaujolais. It's a great place for value wine, but the Cru wines can get a little pricey. And here there's Cru wines, and they're not a little pricey because what he's doing here, and this is actually a Vin de France wine, which is table wine. Table wine is not the worst thing in the world for wine. I mean, actually, everybody in France, not everybody, but most of the people in France who drink wine with every lunch and every dinner drink table wine. That's where the name comes from. It's the wine everybody drinks. But for a designation and for trying to sell wine at a certain price, table wine in the past was like a negative connotation. Like, I don't want that. And they did away with the IGP, which is like IGP was always wines that didn't quite meet the rules and regulations of AOC, but were kind of like the wine. Beaujolais did away with that for whatever reason. So this is a wine that is not Cru. They don't make it. This is a fast fermentation type of thing. It's only 4 months aging. It's not quite Bordeaux Nouveau, which is, they have a set date where that's released, and it's really young. But this is a young wine with impeccable grapes, and I'm going to take a sip. It's very French. If you're, they call this very fruity, and very fruity in France is not. When we're used to California, ain't the same thing. But I'm going to take a sip. And it does. It has flavor. This wine opens up. It's got a lot of flavor. It's got a lot of structure. French wine, especially this is made in the old ways, all the different elements of the wine are all equal. There's not one thing ahead of the other. So the fruit and the acidity, and there's not too much tannins here, but there's a little bit, the structure, all are equal places. If it doesn't have, the wine is wrong if something is lesser. You want it to be right. And this is an old school French wine, but kind of fun and fun to drink. And it's got a nice nose. It's got a nice flavor to it. What else am I doing here? Another sip because it's very drinkable. Oh, I know I want to talk about the label. You look at the label, and it looks kind of like a French poster from maybe the 40s or 50s. It's a cartoon of a man with his mouth open, and he's got a bunch of red grapes above his head, and he's squeezing the grapes, and red wine is falling out of those grapes. And that is what is supposed to be going on here. The winemaker's not getting in the way of the grapes. He's allowing these cru grapes to speak for themselves in a young, fresh, tasty wine. And so it's playful too, because most of these, if you look at the cru Beaujolais things, they have family crests and everything on the label. Here we got a cartoon. We got a cartoon of a guy drinking wine. It's kind of interesting to look at. It's fun, and it doesn't, and it's not an inexpensive one. It's like $16, $17, $18 wine. I'm not sure where it goes, but this is actually a wine that would work on the Thanksgiving table. It's got, even though it's a cru grapes, it's got a flavor profile that is easy to drink. It's got an acidity that makes you want to drink more. This is kind of a fun Beaujolais wine. It's not your typical Beaujolais. It's not, because Gamay is sometimes a lot like Pinot Noir, and this one doesn't really remind me of that at all. It's a little more fruity than that. It's got good structure, but it's a little bit different. Just took a third sip, which is kind of like what this wine's all about. When I first tasted it, I was like, I don't know. And then, like I said, by the third wine, you're going, I can't get enough of this stuff. I keep on reaching for a glass of it. And I'm thinking, why? What's there about this wine? And there isn't just one thing, because they make it as a whole. Every aspect of it is right. It's not just fruity fruit. If you put it in a flute, it could be that way too. But it's not just fruity wine. It's not just, the acidity is good. The structure is good. The nose is kind of, nice. It's got some fresh fruit on the nose. It's a nice wine. It's French. It's different. It's affordable. It doesn't seem to take itself too seriously. And if you put it on the Thanksgiving table, I think it would go very well and be a hit. What else can you ask for? Not too much, but an interesting wine made from great grapes, well made by one of the icons of the Beaujolais area. This is good stuff. And actually another thing, at Cheap Wine Fighter, what we always try to do is we try to find wines that everybody can find. If we find a wine that's in 3 markets and like 17 stores, what good is that? Man, you can't find it. And it's not always obvious at first. Sometimes we find a wine that turns out it is. But this is from Kermit Lynch. He's one of the larger, very respected importers. And this is a wine, they make 60,000 cases of it. A lot of times these wines are, they make very small amount, and it's in 2 markets. But if you're looking for it, Kermit Lynch is in most markets. The wine's weird. You can be you're not going to find every wine every store, but you probably can find Kermit Lynch wines. And at this time of year with the Beaujolais thing happening, this is a young wine. You're going to want to drink it in the first year, which better off right now. It should be out there with 60,000 bottles being sent out to the world. There should be enough of it to go. So this is a unique Beaujolais wine, not the usual thing, from a great producer from great vineyards. And it should be available at a very decent price. Now, the label might not be the classiest thing to put on your table at Thanksgiving, but once you pour a glass, there you go, and it does tell the story. This is all about the grapes, and we like grapes here. So we got a few more wines to go before Thanksgiving comes, and we hit party time after that. And I'll talk to you in a couple of days. We always have something going on. And read the review, Cheap Wine Finder, if you will. And adios and goodbye, and talk to y'all later.